evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Macka Scouser TV Thursday night podcast. That's for tinning to the cool people. Who tells you you're their friend, and you've got their back at all times, and then throws you under the bus when you don't get picked. Mo Salah, but not us because we're nice people. We are, a couple of weeks away from a whole new year. Let's see if we turn over a whole new leaf. Tonight we're going to talk about these things with Brian and Shazee. How are we, gentlemen?
Good. How are you?
So let's do this because it'd be so easy to have so many topics about the different variable things that are happening at Liverpool. So we will wrap them all up into one. We'll talk about Arne Slot, we'll talk about Mo Salah, and we'll talk about the Inter Milan game, all in one topic, because it feels like it's all interrelated now at this point, and no pun intended on the word Inter. And we'll do a little bit of talk about Harvey Elliott and the predicament he finds himself in. It's a very, very difficult. I feel very bad for the chap, because his career is at a vital point in time, and it seems like he's walked himself or painted himself into a corner, essentially. And then we'll look ahead to the game this weekend, which yet again Macka won't get to watch. Yay! But let's talk about the triangle. Shankly said the only important triangle was the players, the manager, and the supporters. The board don't come into it. Now we've got a new modern day post-millennial triangle of Mo Salah, Arne Slot, and games in general. So we'll start with the result. 1-0 against Inter Milan, a team that's flying high. I only saw like the last half of the second half. I believe like the second half of the second half and the third quarter of the game. But it looked like we were playing in that sort of controlled way we did last season. It wasn't spectacular, but we didn't. It never felt like we were in any real danger, apart from looking back after the fact, a period just before half time, where Inter seemed to have a bit more of the momentum. But otherwise, an old school slot performance that, 1-0 didn't flatter Liverpool at all. 2-0 may have been, with this slow goal, may have been an accurate result. But, Inter could probably say they deserved something out of the game as well. They're a solid side. They have some good players. I forgot, and I really shouldn't have forgotten that Christian Kivu is the manager, and I used to love watching him play way back in the day for Ajax. He was a fantastic player. But let's look first of all, Brian and Suzy, at the game part of this triumvirate. What were your feelings on that Inter Milan game? There's so much drama going into that week, and we don't want to have to say, almost in 2020 vision, hindsight, cliche, that the absence of Salah and pretty much probably the end of Salah, like the kind of conclusion to that whole drama, if we assume that he will probably never make an appearance in a red shirt again, bar some sort of United Nations, diplomacy or something like that. Almost like the weight of having to rely on Mo Salah was lifted from the players' shoulders, and they felt almost like they could just play their game. Is that how you saw the game, Suzy, or did you think it was just a case of we had to bottom out at some point and begin clawing ourselves forward?
No, I think with the game itself, we've been there before. With Real Madrid, Aston Villa, it was a professional performance, and that's it. And I think the next game and the game after that will tell us how significant yesterday's game was in regards to the season itself. I mean, we've been there before, we've seen it, and every time we've turned the corner, I think we've turned the corner, we're back to the same spot again. I think the fact that it was away at Inter Milan took all the emotions out of the game, because there were any Liverpool fan, or there was obviously, but I mean, not like it would have been a home game. It would have been a lot more emotional and a lot more.
No wall of sound kind of a thing.
Yeah, and the narrative would have been even more deeper, and and who are they singing for, and are they singing for Salah, or are they singing for Slot? And So it was it was a perfect game in that sense. Inter Milan really didn't come and attack us. Like I thought we were going to get battered. So they kind of played into our hands. It was a professional performance, and you expect nothing less from our players. All the players on there, they're not really emotional players. Obviously, they're prone to mistakes through emotion, like Kanate, but they're not emotional players like obviously Salah being missing. But I don't think the performance has any reflection of what's happening off the pitch. These players, from what we've heard, you look at the leaders like Allison and Robertson and Virgil and even Szoboszlai, our class was one of the leaders now, and even Jones, when they came out and they said what you kind of expect them to say, but not patronizing. They just said it with maturity, especially Allison, and you can tell they're all disappointed at the situation. And I think if it was any other player than Salah, we might have heard something different. But I think everyone, you have to be a person who's got a real agenda against Salah to not accept what he's done for the club. And we're not talking about 1 or 2 seasons; we're talking about 8 seasons. And even people on American Scouser or Discord themselves, like, yeah, the player's not big in the club. It's true, but what he's done for the club is ginormous, and and even taken away from the club, we're just seeing things that are on the pitch, and there's a lot of Mo Salah supporters, and a lot of them tend to be from the African continent, or they tend to be of people of color, and the reason why this is blown up the way it has, and they've turned against Kara, is because of what Salah's done for that community. And just even speaking of someone like from the same religious background as Salah, like Liverpool, obviously post 9/11 and so forth, it was an Islamophobic city, and Salah really he broke a lot of walls, whether he did it on purpose or not, inadvertently, whatever. Both him, Mane, they brought the community together to the point where they're singing about him being a Muslim and supporting that. And this is what they're not playing in the press, and this is what a lot of people on a lot of our friends on American Scouser aren't seeing. It's not just about Liverpool; it's the city and what he's done for the city. And obviously, him himself, it was wrong the way he came about and doing it. It's premeditated. He's angry, but then there's certain players that you just have to accept that this is how they are. And people or players from that background where all they've known is struggle and all they've known is football, because without football they're nothing. This means so much to them. And I think Stevie G hit the nail on the head, where obviously he didn't agree the way he came out and what was said, but it's the fact that he's done so much for our club over the 8 or 9 years, that maybe a part of him feels, all right, he's going through whatever he's going through, whether it's a player's rut or the Jota thing. Maybe some way he feels like the club have let him down now, even though he's stuck with us, and we've gone through periods where we're struggling to finish third, or a couple of seasons ago we struggled to finish like seventh or whatever it was, and he stuck with us, and he did everything he could. I mean, he almost single-handedly won us a league last season. Given the fact that Klopp left and everyone wrote us off, and the goals that he provided and the assists, and I think somewhere along the line it feels like the club do owe him some kind of support. And I think the words that he used in terms of he shouldn't have to earn his place, I don't think that's what he meant. And I don't know. And just like everyone else, everyone has their own narratives of what they're putting on, and no one really knows what he truly meant. But I think from putting aside that it was premeditated, I think what he was trying to say is that I've done so much for this club, like I shouldn't just be treated like someone like Gakpo or someone like whoever. Like he he deserves that bit more of, whatever it is, rope. And it's not that it's not undroppable, but I think there's certain players that if you are going to drop them, it's not just about putting a team sheet on the wall and, oh, you're not playing today. And I don't know if that's what's happened, but I think that's, it's just such a divided opinion. It's divided everyone. And it's just like Stevie G says, just we're a better team with an informed Salah and a happy Salah than without it.
Now, before I go to Brian, I'm going to bring Cozzy on board, fresh from the toilet and sponsored by Imodium. But nevertheless, looking quite fresh and dapper. So you've done a good job there. But Brian, it's a weighty topic. But nevertheless, if we do misinterpret what Salah meant when he said he shouldn't have to earn his place, he's had enough time to correct that misconception, hasn't
he? Yes and no right there. I mean, sometimes right there, by going back and saying more, is inflames more the situation. And I think sometimes right there, actually sitting back and being professional and allow your comments to go through, let it get digested, let things wash. And, because honestly, our society right there is an instantaneous society right there where, everything's pass and go so quickly. I think that he's doing the right thing. In my opinion, on the whole Mo situation there, is if we intended to come there and play Mo as a right midfielder, as a right attacking midfielder, a right box-to-box midfielder, that was the intention to do this setup right there, then why did we go in there and let Mo for another stint? I mean, I would have probably just come there and made last year like his last hurrah, go in there and cheered Mo on, said thank you for your service and move on. Because you can't expect the same numbers out of a player when they're not playing in the same position they've always played in. And I've said that numerous times on social media and both Facebook and also on Discord. The expectations that you have for the numbers that Salah has produced right there last year and years prior to it, when you go there and move a player, out of their position and also go back and go with Mo's age and, and different things like that, you can't expect these things to happen that way. And so the disappointment right there from him is he's probably disappointed himself, but it's a disappointment in the situation where that he's in playing out of position. So I think the whole thing's been handled really just like really bad. I mean, overall, that's all I can really say. It's just a bad situation right there. I don't think that Mo wants to leave this club. I really don't. I mean, I think that yes, eventually he's going to, but I don't think that was his intentions to say that. Sometimes like their players get mad and they get hungry. They want to do what's a player want to do? They want to play. He has every right to come in there and actually go and voice his opinion on what the situation is, how it's worded right there. Sometimes right there goes into open interpretation of what they want. And it's a meal ticket for the British press anyway, right there, for anything that goes and looks like it's some kind of a controversy, especially with us, because I think they enjoy like the drama. There's some kind of drama that happens to us, because we've been relatively drama-free club for many years. And so I think that they're just lapping this up. And it also includes the pundits and the former players right there who are actually causing a lot of this stuff to keep on getting egged on instead of actually just letting things chill and then go back from that point right there. I mean, even Slot King said that he doesn't think this is Mo's last game. I mean, everybody says it. Players say things. So yeah, overall, I think that letting it be quiet and letting it die down, come back to it, I think it was the best policy that Mo could have done.
But at the same time, though, he's not a 22-year-old kid. He's
I agree.
He's got plenty of experience in the game and with the media. And as has been pointed out very, very frequently by a number of pundits, he doesn't usually go into that mixed zone area unless he wants to say something. So he knew exactly what he was going to say. He has the experience to know the impact of his words and the impact of saying them too. I think it was some some fortunate Norwegian journalist who suddenly gets the exclusive You know, I mean, that's a hand grenade. That there's no other way about that. He knew what he wanted to achieve with it, especially this close to the African Cup of Nations. You know, he knows that he's not going to be in the country to do as bad as the English media was, or are rather. It's not like they went fishing for this story, is it? He literally came up with this story on a play for them, and now everybody has to deal with the repercussions, and that's kind of where the criticism would be, wouldn't it? I mean, it's one thing because I don't know whether he's doing anything much differently than he did last season, except he doesn't have Trent behind him. And so I was like covering in behind Trent, you know, so he's relieved of many defensive duties. So I don't know whether he's playing a different formation or different position in a different system than he did last year, but his numbers haven't regressed to the mean. They've absolutely tanked in terms of his output. So, you know, the manager is also right, do you think, to drop him if he's not producing even the bare minimum that you would expect of your most expensive, probably most highest paid player, sorry, is what I meant to say. You know, you're entitled to expect a level of performance, which he has not given this season. And we would be revising history if we sit here on Thursday night and say that he has, correct?
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, the numbers just aren't there. But I do think that going over to a 4-2-3-1 does change a lot of how
But we played that last season.
We were a little bit higher up.
But that's not the formation. That's where your defensive line is.
True, but I think that
was the same.
But I think the expectations right there of what it seems like this year of what Mo is like what they're expecting of Mo is different from what Mo was expected of last year.
I mean, I think that's a very fair point. Yes. My question though is the manager not entitled to do that? And
absolutely.
This is where that I've earned my right, etc. thing may be the sticking point, because he's essentially saying I dictate where and how I play. And you could say that the most expensive player on the wage sheet maybe has an opportunity to say that because you're giving him the money, but at the same time, it puts the manager in a really bad position when the players actually where and when he plays, right?
But if you look at his positioning right there, even this year right there, where last year it was mainly playing the upper 1/3 of the pitch right there. I mean, now he's playing more or less toward the middle of the pitch. So man, it changes a lot of different things with the aspect of a player.
For sure.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying right there. I think that yes, Slot does have that ability right there because he's the gaffer right there to go and say, hey, you know, this is how we're going to play right there, and I expect the player to go play that way right there. But I think also right there is it could be a lot of frustration with Mo himself. I mean, so these are, you know, you don't know how people interact.
It does sound like there hasn't been any communication between the two as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but again, right there, but it goes. I still think that you have lots of internal frustration, and we've all been the point right there where you're frustrated with yourself about your performances and things like that. And sometimes they just go and just explode out, and then after they explode out, sometimes you don't know how to actually go back and recoup or reevaluate how you said it. And so that goes back to what I said right there. The best policy on that point right there is to go and not backtrack and not do anything, to stay quiet and just let things kind of stay low, and then go back into it later on at a later point and say, hey, yes, I was out of line right there. This is things that I should have said right there. But within a week time right there, that's still fairly frequent. And then it just keeps on getting regurgitated every week in the papers. It's like, it's a highlight now. So, I mean, you have to let that highlight die down and then go back and explain. But I think that there definitely needs to be, and we don't know what's happened behind the scenes right there with this. I mean, this could be a communication that's already been made, already happened. I mean, we're just having speculation right there. And, you know, again, English press loves speculation.
I've never been frustrated with my performance. A minute or a minute and a half on your birthday and Christmas. That's as far as I go. Now, Cozzy, I see, and I want to see both yours and Suzie's face when I mention this aside, drinking from the glass there. Was that Disprin by any chance? See, nobody in this country knows that the absolute awfulness of Disprin. It's the worst medication in the world.
It's like the first couple of glasses of water I drank in like 6 days. So yeah, it feels amazing.
So tell me your see we're gonna mesh the whole thing in together, Salah and the game. But what's your overall impression of the situation?
I think there's a lot more nuances than what people are actually discussing with this, and I don't think it's as clear cut as what people have said. I believe Mo Salah was incorrect for coming out and saying in terms of coming out and speaking to the media, not in terms of saying what he said. We can get to that. Mo has been around this club enough where he should know the club and know that we wouldn't accept that anyway. In terms of no matter what he said, he can't even got a bit of stick last year after Southampton when he come up to spoke about his contract. Still saying he shouldn't do that anyway, even though we were still on his side because he was scoring loads of goals and he was boss. So there's that, and Mo has to swallow that, and Mo will be incorrect with that. But I've seen lots of football players make mistakes, and I actually think the chastising of him is slightly out of order, a little bit. I've seen players, for example, like Luis Suarez, be done for racial remarks and biting a football player, and then I still adore the man basically for nearly winning us the league a year later. So football's a very fickle thing, whether we like it or not. That's what we are. We're fickle fans.
I mean, you just have to watch this show week to week to know that.
Football, in that sense, I just don't agree with sometimes the chastising. Now, in terms of what he said and the words that he said, I think there might be the one where he says, again, I know you've mentioned it about, he doesn't have to really earn his right to play in that sense. There's a bit more context to that where he was kind of like, well, when he's been made the scapegoat a little bit. Okay, if you go off the scapegoat part here, have you seen the rest of our strikers? Have you seen Cody Gakpo starting week in, week out? Because he's watching him as well. And he's probably looking going, why is he not getting dropped then? Do you know what I mean? It's not like the managers went in and making 8 changes and those getting a game, Gomez is getting a game, and you know what I mean? And Chiesa starting and he's been... No,
I just want to point out yet again that clearly Mo Salah watches this Thursday night show because we asked why Cody Gakpo is getting picked every week.
That's just us, every Liverpool fan. But so there's that part with the scapegoat cart. I kind of understand that. The part where he says he doesn't have to fight for his place, I completely disagree with. Liverpool Football Club, you should be able to fight for your place every single time. There is an argument though that Liverpool haven't signed the right winger in 9 years. So he probably thinks, actually, this is my fucking place. There is that argument, whether we like it or not, gents. Liverpool have not signed a winger. Liverpool have signed one centre-half in 8 years. So Ibrahima Konate can sit there and go, this is my place. You don't sign centre-halves. So there is that. In terms of any communication, he said, the manager said that Inter Milan, I believe he said, I did speak to him about saying he was getting dropped, and he hasn't really spoken to him since. I think that's poor in that sense. In terms of my management, I think there's certain things that you have to do to coach people. The problem is for Mo, which is the biggest issue. There's a few issues that no one's actually speaking about yet. Liverpool have actually unbeaten them 4, and whether we think Liverpool are playing well or not, Liverpool are getting some kind of results, and at this present time, Liverpool need to get results. But Liverpool can sit there in the 4 games that he hasn't played and go, West Ham, great away performance, clean sheet, win 2-0. Sunderland, absolutely awful. They come off the bench at half-time. Okay, we scored a goal. Poor. Leeds, Liverpool should just win the game if Konate doesn't just do what Konate does. Liverpool should win the game. And then everyone goes, great away performance, Liverpool win 2-0. And we go, fucking hell, slot specials back. Ekitike scored 2. Oh my God, we're all flying, aren't we? We go to Inter Milan. Everyone can say it was a perfect away performance and Liverpool get the goal and win the game. Liverpool should have a goal in the first half. It could be an argument. It is handball, but Liverpool should, So in Mo's case, it doesn't help the cause. It's not like Liverpool are getting whacked every week and he can't get back in. That doesn't help him. Now, I'm not saying Liverpool are playing well. Far from it. Liverpool are not playing well, but they are getting some sort of results. Yeah, I agree with that. Liverpool are not playing well. But, again, Liverpool are getting some sort of results. I actually wouldn't say that's Sunderland the relegation fodder either this season. I actually think it might be an half-decent side. But going back to the bigger picture, what Liverpool do, which no one wants to have the conversation about, which is wild. Liverpool have to get Mo Salah back on side. And they don't, whether we like this or not, and whether you agree with the aspects of the club or not, Liverpool do not want to let sell Mo Salah in January when we haven't got any strikers as it is anyway. And then you want to lose Mo Salah, and we have no one to play right wing. So for these, by the way, for these morons who go, suppose I can play there, I do not want suppose like playing right wing for the next 6 months. I just don't. Only if Ekitike and Isak are fully fit and he can play 40 games for the rest of the season, 50 games, whatever we're going to be in, I'm fine with that. But he won't be. Will Curtis Jones be fully fit for all the seasons? No. Well, Alexis McAllister not need a break. No, that means Szoboszlai has to go back into centre mid, then who plays right wing? Mo Salah has to play right wing. There's also past this again. Liverpool are linked with Semenyo. Okay, Liverpool do Semenyo. Semenyo's been playing left wing, lads, for 18 months. Has anyone watched him? I know he can play. He can play both sides, but he does a lot of his best work left wing. I think we all agree with that. We've all seen him play.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to sign Semenyo in January and go? By the way, you're going to replace Liverpool's greatest forward on that side. And by the way, we're in the top 8 of the Champions League, and we would really like to win it.
He's going to replace Paul Walsh.
And Ronnie Rosenthal. But I mean, so there's that. You know what I mean? So Liverpool have to get him back on board. But even if it's till the end of the season, Liverpool have to do something. You can't just let it, the lad dictate his future. Liverpool have to play hardball and go, you've got a fucking contract. You've just signed it 5 months ago. You're staying here till the middle of the end of the season because we don't want to go out and spend 150 million in January on 2-3 players. We're all under the impression that Liverpool will sign a centre half anyway. I think we're under that impression in January. You don't want to go and sign a right winger as well. Like, do you know what I mean? That's just not possible. So it's a mess. It's an absolute horrific mess that Liverpool found themselves in. I would argue, though, it's probably only 1 goal against Brighton away from being not a mess. So there's that, because that's how fickle football fans are, and that's what we're all like. So I just think there's a lot of caveats, and there's a lot of little instances that no one's really bringing up, and it's just very much, well, whose side are you on? And I just don't think it's as clear as cut as that.
In terms of Arne Slot, Gally made a point on the Discord, and I think on one of the shows as well, that this whole Farrago, to use a British media press phrase, but I do love the word Farrago, to be fair. It's a great word. But it has bought Arne Slot another month of at least sympathy, given the criticism he's been getting for the performances this season. Yeah. Do you think, the fact that he is now no longer the villain of the piece, rightly or wrongly, he is no longer the villain of the piece, the away fans singing his name at the end of the Interman games, Susie, do you think it may give Arne Slot the kick up the ass we've been calling for all season? I personally like the idea that he spent the last 2 games playing 4-4-2 with a diamond. It's exactly what I've been asking for all season. Just change something. Do something different that's unpredictable, that nobody is prepared for, so that teams can't literally just Gakpo's gonna curl in. Okay, just move in with him there. It's a little bit different. It may get the best out of Wirtz, and we can see exactly what we paid for in Ekitike and Isak if they could stay fit together. But do you think that gives him a little bit of a reprieve, and we can see, without that pressure on him for a month, let's say, we can see what the story is then, and then, as Cozzy says, when Salah gets back, maybe bridges can be mended and we go on to have a great second half of the season. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, inadvertently, Salah, if his objective was to get Slot out, it failed miserably. Because there's no way a club like Liverpool were going to side with a manager over a player, just for the pure optics of it. And you wouldn't expect them to. I mean, I think we've all been managers at some point, and if we had an employee, no matter how good they were, publicly call you out and the club, and then the club takes that employee's side, we'll be up in arms, and that's basically what it comes down to. But football, it's its own world, unfortunately, and as much as, like, I think Kazi and Brian touched upon it, he had points, but it was very premeditated. I think if we beat Leeds, I don't think he would have said what he said, because us drawing against Leeds or dropping points the way we did, it gave him further fuel for him to say what he wanted to say. With Arne Slot, it's such a tough one. It's just, it was only a few months ago, there was the, Slot penitentiary memes, and, we thought he was great and this, that, and with Slot, because he won the league in his first season, it gave him obviously a lot of credit, but we've started, and we all know, and, we've followed Liverpool for decades. Him as a manager, with Liverpool managers, like, they become like mirror the city, and Kazi knows better than I do. You're obviously living growing up in Liverpool, the Liverpool manager is literally, you're a politician out there. Like you represent the community, and I don't mean
to step, but that's what Hodgson didn't get and what Rodgers didn't get. And the fear is that Slot may not get that. But Klopp got that in abundance. And Rafa got it, and Gerrard got it.
Exactly. And every manager from Shankly all the way to,
Roy Hodgson,
they all got it. Rafa got it. As stoic as Rafa was, he understood the community. He donated to Hillsborough and everything, and then Klopp brought that back, but we're not getting that of Slot. And I think that's another thing why fans quickly turned on him as much as they did, bearing in mind he only just won the league a few months ago. It's just such a hard call, and obviously, I don't want to. If Slott's not getting fired, it's because he's been successful again. That's how I say it. But none of us want to be in this mess, and even then, with Carragher as big mouth as he is, like he's kind of taken that pressure off Slot as well, because now everyone's turning into Salah versus Carragher situation rather than him against Slot. And I think Stevie G hit the nail on the head. I think it's beyond, and I think Kazi was, him to that as well, that it's beyond just Slot. There's something that's happened that's pissed Salah off, and he hasn't come out in the right way about it. Because when Slot was, you can see Slot was just as surprised as anyone else. Like, this wasn't an attack on Slot. He was brought into it, but I think it's an attack on the club. And I put my finger on Michael Edwards, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's a common denominator. Anytime Michael Edwards is there, he's pissing someone off, rightly or wrongly, and for the betterment of the club. And not, we don't know. But his fans were emotional, and it's unfortunate we have to feel like we're taking sides, but we really shouldn't. Well, at the end of the day, and there are some, like even on Discord, that they don't want this resolved because it's just like they like the drama, and I fucking hate the drama. This isn't Liverpool Football Club. This isn't the football club that I grew up with, and the club's not infallible. They're not perfect. I've seen John Barnes get front bananas chucked at him, and the club have left him out to dry, didn't support him. Same thing with Suarez. Suarez said something racist, then next thing they're wearing support Suarez t-shirts. So the club, they're not angels themselves. It's just, I just hate seeing this, and obviously Kazi. I can only imagine. He didn't jump on Discord, but I can only imagine what he was going through. It's like, when you're living in that city and that's all it's just like, what the heck? Like, thankfully my parents never got divorced, but that's what it feels. That's what I can imagine it feeling like. Like, you can't, like, what do you do? Like, and there's so many people out there. This is what pisses me off, that people don't want this resolved. And even on our very own show, not this one particularly, but American Scouser show, there are people in there that they don't want to resolve because they love the fucking drama, and we don't need that. We really don't need that.
I mean, Brian, we've had on the Discord, and this is the thing that kind of creased me a little bit about how our little community is that we are emotional fans, and our moods are basically lifted or dropped based on the result of the game. It may be not for a whole week, but at least for an hour or two afterwards, or a lifetime in Cozzy's case. We should all want the exact same thing, which is Liverpool winning trophies, and to do that they have to win games. To win them stylishly would be a great thing, but it doesn't really matter in the end. I'll take Gerard Houlier's boring 4-4-2 counter-attacking treble-winning season over most other clubs' one trophy-winning decade, of playing great football, trying to do it. It's all about Liverpool winning trophies and winning leagues. Arne Slot did a good job last season. As Cosby says, you can't take it away from him, but you can't question what his methods are. I like the fact that he changed, but if he changes back again, is this an example then for Arne Slot that the pressure is getting to him a little bit? That he's not the way Brendan Rodgers at every club he's been with, he gets into a rut and then he starts second guessing himself all the time, hits on a solution, everybody's great with the solution, and then he abandons it for some strange reason, and then eventually leaves in the second or third year or the fourth year, sometimes if he's at Celtic. Is this a thing for Arne Slot? Because he's not a manager. He wasn't brought in for his management qualities the way Klopp would be, say. Klopp was a manager. Klopp would have existed or done well in any era of football. But Arne Slot seems like a coach, like almost like, promoted to Pep Linders, so to speak, without damning with faint praise there, or giving a backhanded compliment. Is this the difference between being a manager and being a coach? Like the culture isn't really coming from Arne Slot, and so Arne Slot's getting blindsided by something like this.
I mean, yes and no. I still think, even though I think it's a name and principle only by what you do in behind the scenes in a lot of ways. I think even as a head coach right there versus a manager, a manager is going to have a lot more their hands in depth in transfer policy, also with off-field issues, things like that. Where a head coach right there, you're expected to handle the situation on the pitch. I mean, I do think that Slot had his inputs on some of these transfers, because he has to have it right there, because there are players that he's going to have to actually go and utilize and put in places to make work.
Is that true though? Because last year we speculated whether he had any say whatsoever in Chiesa being brought in, and we know Chiesa isn't his favorite.
He ain't to say. He would have sat down with some of them and went, "I've got all the cards here. I've won the league in the first season. You definitely."
Oh yeah, for this season. But I mean, in terms of the context of
last season.
But last season he took the job on the basis of, "I'm just becoming Liverpool manager." They've always said to him, "Your hands are going to be tied. If we see something really outlandish in the market, we'll go for it." But the reason being, I think I've said this for 12 months. These will be the best players you've ever coached.
Oh yeah.
Don't come to me with some names of who you like. Because, my God, wait till you see these lads in the changing room. And then he's probably going, "Fuck me, these are better than everyone I've ever seen." He's never played with or seen a football player better than the lads in the dressing room in his whole career. I'm being genuine. So I think there's that argument, Mac, for the first season, where they're like, "Hang tight, I'll buy you away for 12 months, and then we'll come back to in the summer." When he gets to this summer, he's walked him the league title on the table and went, "I kind of want an Isaac, or I want to try and do this with Ekatike," and he's definitely had a say on it. He's definitely.
But my point wasn't specifically Arne Slot, but just the idea that managers or coaches don't ever get a say, or they always get a say, because he didn't get a say in Chiesa, right?
No. But again, right there.
Because if he didn't like him, he would have, or if he liked him rather, he'd have played him a lot more.
I think for 10 million quid, $10 million quid, he would have went, "Let's do him. We'll have a look at him for 10 million quid." I think that's what it's been.
And then walked in the door and went, "Psych, you're out."
But even the thing with Chiesa. But even the thing with Chiesa right there is the money. It's just a player's easier to keep than actually sell, and I think that in a numbers way. I mean, even if he only goes on the pitch right there and gives you a little bit of a couple of matches, something like that. I mean, maybe frustrate him, but in a numbers big picture right there, it's better to keep him on the books than to sell him. I mean, and so that's the way I feel about it. But Slot had to have some kind of say in some of these transfers. I mean, because it may not have been like the level that Klopp did, where he sat down and said, "I'm getting these guys, and you go do it." And, as in the transfer committee thing, that was he was more or less a power broker in right there. But as a head coach right there, you do. Hey, I've got these players right there. It looks like they're going to have a good weight. Hughes had to sit down and say, "Look at this. I got Ekatike. We're going to go in for Verts. We're going to go do this. We're going to go into Isaac. We're going to do this. How do you feel about these players right there?" And he said, "These players are fantastic. I think it's a great move." As a head coach right there, you're going to say, "Yeah, go ahead, go for it." I mean, and stuff like that.
They had this conversation yesterday on Paramount with Henry and Michael Richards, and they're talking about the difference between managers and coaches, and why Alonso's falling out with his players at Real Madrid because he's trying to coach him. And I think that's the difference. Like Klopp, he was a manager. He wasn't a coach. He had Linders, and before that he had the other guy. It's not that he couldn't coach, but it's like Rafa as well. You have these managers and you have coaches, and I think when you got world-class players, like Kazi was saying, like these are players he could only ever dream of. Even in the first season, the players like Nunes and Diaz, like they were the best players he ever coached. So now he's coaching players like Salah, who, you know, whether some people agree or not, like he's an elite player. He's up there with Messi and Ronaldo. And, you know, to try and coach someone of that caliber and then tell them or not tell them that, you know, we're dropping you for the next match, it's going to affect them. But there is a big difference.
There's a difference between man management and a coach. That's what we're missing.
100%.
So he's went from Mo, for example, the best man manager you could ever have.
Yeah.
Most personable, likable man manager you'll ever have, to, in my opinion, quite a stone cold kind of guy in terms of a bit of a killer when he's on the pitch.
I mean, it is almost. It's almost Houllier to Rafa, almost. Really,
but the litmus test would be: would you see these players run their hamstrings off for Slot like they did for Klopp?
I don't think that's the argument, though, mate. I think the argument is that because you can still get your point away in two different ways. It's about when you've been so used to something for 8-9 years, this person who's just this uber kind of fucking force in Jurgen Klopp and what he was for these lads and giving them a chance and making them believe that anything's possible. And they went out and did it, by the way. To go and back to this guy who's very tactical, one of Klopp's biggest weaknesses is that I don't think he was brutal enough on the pitch at times. In terms of making subs. And Slotters. Well, he was last season. He was making subs in half time, just hooking everyone. He wasn't asked. So that's, you know what I mean? So there's that part. Now, I think there's a balance there. The problem is for Liverpool, and which no one wants to have the conversation, it's not whether Mo comes back in or not. That's not the question. The question is, will Liverpool sell Mo Salah in January? Because if the answer is no, he has to come back in. So ask that question to yourself first, and then you find the answer to the other question. Do Liverpool sell Mo Salah in January? Again, if your answer is yes, he doesn't come back. If the answer is no, they want to keep him, and they've said, he has to come back in. Liverpool have no players. I'll be like, Liverpool just went to Inter Milan and took fucking 5 players on the bench. We don't have a choice in the matter, gents. Like, this is a thing of grin and bear it. Don't embarrass yourself before your World Cup, but you're fucking staying. There could be that conversation to have. Do you know what I mean? Or they could kiss and make up. I don't know. But that's the key question, I think, lads, here. Do Liverpool sell Mo Salah? And then the other one answers itself. I don't think they do in January because, I'll tell you why. But for this thing as well, by the way, well, you just said, Macka, you touched on it. He started the diamond. It's kind of worked. We quite liked it. Curtis Jones is brilliant. Curtis Jones is made out of quavers, lads. One for the British guys. He's made out of quavers. He's going to be out for 3 weeks at one point. Szoboszlai cannot continue right-hand side. These are games that you can have at one-offs. We don't have the depth to play diamonds. We just don't. We don't have the forwards to play them. We don't have the midfielders to play them because they're made out of glass, a couple of our midfielders. So you're also moving your best midfielder this season to the right-hand side. Whether we think he plays well there or not, we would all agree that that's not his best position. There's also a part, again, I'm fucking, my mind's frazzled by this argument of Liverpool have got this new, and that's it. It's not it. That was just to get a result. The only good thing is for Liverpool, in the next 3 games, you play once a week. So for the next 3 games, you might see the diamond. You might see it. Because you can say, between Brighton and Spurs and Wolves, it's one game a week. So you can get the lads actually time on the training pitch. All managers want, all coaches want is time on the training pitch. You've got it for a week to organise the diamond.
And free tracksuits.
And free tracksuits. That gets you, gents, by the way, till December the 27th. January the 1st is Leeds at home, by the way. So you've got to, okay, there's the transfer window. So the argument is in the next 2 weeks, if Arne Slot sits down with Edwards and Hughes and goes, we have to play these 2 lads together. They love each other, they can't wait. Wirtz is flying. We don't know. Wirtz could be flying. He can't come back. Just go and get me a right side of midfielder. You can do the job for me right now. But that's the question. It's not if he comes back in, it's if Liverpool want to sell.
Let me ask the 3 of you, Suzie and Brian, if Cozzy is right that it doesn't make any sense. I don't disagree with him, but it doesn't make any sense to sell Salah in January. Would that be a bigger test for Arne Slot's leadership than this current situation? Because reintegrating somebody who Whether he meant it or not, the impression is that he bodied Arne Slot in a not press conference in the mixed zone. Is that a better test for Arne Slot's leadership?
No,
Nope.
I think ultimately the next whether Salah's there or not, Slot could hang himself with the next set of results. Yeah. And without Salah being there, if we lose the next games between now and in January, and Salah's not even there, then I think Slot hangs himself. And
but that's not the question I asked. The question I asked was if Salah comes back in and he reintegrates or he has to reintegrate, was that a bigger?
I think there's loads of managers.
Indication.
There's loads of managers who coach players they don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's loads of managers. I'm sure of it. All managers don't like all 26 lads in the changing room, but they'll know if you get me results and score goals, I can deal with your shit.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Slot's biggest test, and if he wants to, basically show that, okay, I won the league my first season. Now this is a bigger challenge because Salah is our best player for the last 7-8 years, and to get him on board and be able to change the narrative and get him to play for you, that's a huge challenge for him. And if I was Slot, I'd take that on board. I'd take that as a challenge, and to win him back.
What you get paid for?
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, though, can I ask a question here, right? Because I've been thinking about this a lot. If Liverpool stick with this diamond through the next 3 games, because again, they're once a week, Liverpool win the next 3. Isak gets 3 in the next 3. Ekatike gets a couple. There's a load of chat about Harvey Elliott,
Yeah.
You're segueing me perfectly into the next section yet again.
I'll take you back.
There's load, honestly, to do the Szoboszlai role. And you say to Jones, then we can pull you in once a week. We're not getting you injured. Szoboszlai could just drop back in there for you and do that role. And you can actually do minutes. And you and Chiesa can share the dead minutes. There's a game in the FA Cup, Barnsley at home. My God, Harvey Elliott should be playing Barnsley alone. Whether you want to loan him out again or not, I don't think you can, by the way, because he's already played for 2 clubs this season.
Yeah, he's already played for 2.
So Liverpool have a big fucking conversation to have. And there might be a conversation, that's where the Salah-Elliott argument comes in. You know what, we're just going to do Salah. We've been offered 80-90 million in January. We'll bring Elliott in. It's not the right idea. It's not the right plan. I'm not saying he's your replacement. Deal with it for 5 months. You're definitely keeping your job. We'll say you've had hard lines in the media, really hard lines of what happened with Salah. Liverpool finding form, then Salah's come out, and we'll glaze it over for the fans in any way you want. But then in the summer, bang, there's Semenyo, there's this lad, there's Macka. Let's go again. I reckon there could be a lot of that conversation happening now.
So, just as I said, yet again, Cosy reading my mind and getting us on to the next topic, let's talk about this lad a bit more in depth, because we could do Salah, Slot, and the game all for the entire hour and 15 minutes we usually do, but he's worth a conversation. There are people who are quite happy to not ever see him again. I like Harvey Elliott. I think maybe physically he's not ready to be a starting player at a league challenging team every single game, but certainly in creatively and technically, he's a bloody great asset to have. And in one way, I'm sad that it hasn't worked out for him at Aston Villa, and he's getting played around a little bit with the what is it, the PSR, TSR rules, or whatever like that they'd have to. Yeah. But on the other hand, I'm kind of glad we may end up getting it back for January. Yeah, he's a great option to have, and especially if you can tell him, hey, if you build up, if you improve these aspects of your game, who knows? Maybe you will be the starting midfielder.
Oh, Mac, he's fit because he's training every week.
Yeah, so he's ready to go. It's
Liverpool have a massive issue, a humongous issue up front, and if you're going to play 2 forwards, you've just doubled your issue. Like, this is the thing. This is what I just, you know what I mean? There's a part of this with Villa, and for people who want to, like, kind of know, a lot of that Villa squad who start the games have been there for like 8-10 years. Like, they're Dean Smith signed all those players, like your Mings and Konza. I think John McGinn was signed by him and players like that, right? So there's a lot of that core that's been together for a while. If you actually look at the signings that they've made in the last 2-3 years, they're finding it very hard to break in because they just are. Like, so, for example, Diego Carlos, I know he got his big injury, but now he's gone from centre-half, and they've done Pau Torres. But when Mings is fit, it's just usually Mings and Konza, and Pau Torres has barely been playing. So it's just a weird little dynamic, I think, with that. The Villa diddle, which has happened on the last day, was Villa being offered an opportunity to sign him, and Liverpool have went from there. But Villa have got a lot of players who can play in his position. So, for example, Morgan Rogers, Buendia. They like to do, I can't remember his other name, that Kamara, further forward as well. John McGinn can go further forward for them. So, there's that diddle why Elliott, I think, can't get in. Now, there's also a part of this when they know he plays 10 games, you activating the 35 million. So, every game he's got to play, so they play 5. So, you can't come on and give him 20 minutes here and there to get us feel his way in. So, this argument of, well, he can't get in the Villa side. It's a load of shite. It's literally the biggest load of garbage. The argument is, he can't get him in for 20 minutes because they're going to have to sign him for 35 million. So how do you take it? How'd you do that? Unless you were going to go to start the season, you start the first 10 games, but then you've got to sign him anyway. So Elliott was in a bit of a no-win situation with the PSR diddle. You've got to be sure to sign 35 million. Going back to the point I just made before about Liverpool right now. If Salah goes, Gakpo's woefully out of form. He doesn't like Chiesa. Liverpool have 2 forwards. 2 forwards. It's just the argument that we're going to have. I'm just at the stage where Liverpool can do a lot worse than Harvey Elliott. A hell of a lot worse than Harvey Elliott off our bench. Look at the bench we have just taken to Inter Milan. And people are sitting there going, doesn't get a game, Are you mad? We looked at that. We took 6 lads to Inter Milan, 7 lads. 2 of them are keepers and 3 of them are even enough. Like, that's we had no one going. So, this argument of, and again, comes back to the major points. Liverpool have got games getting shotgunned. For example, January the 1st, you could pull him back for this game if you want to. It was Leeds at home. 3 days later, you go to Fulham. Like, when does Isak and Ekitike get their rest? Do you know what I mean? When does that happen? And then 4 days later, you go into Arsenal. So, do you know what I mean? By the way, 2 days after it'll be 3 days later, 3 days after the Arsenal game, we've got Barnsley,
Barnsley, yep.
Someone's got to play the games. Someone has to get in. And I don't know about you, but I don't want Ekitike and Isak starting Barnsley.
I think there might be a chance for us to get a start. I've got me boots in a brown paper bag ready to go.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
We literally have a player called Lucky. No, that's not
I just feel like that's right. He's off beat. I thought he'd been a great servant for Liverpool. He came on, he's acquitted himself well in every game. He scored big goals. He had big moments for Liverpool. And people forget that. I remember the Palace away goal was massive at the time when he scored the last minute winner. But he's had other big moments. And I just think the disrespect that he's had is slightly unwarranted. And Liverpool could do a hell of a lot worse. And I would argue he's a better player than Chiesa.
Now, Suzy, the other element of it is, as well, is that he knows Slot's system, or at least last year's version of it. So it's not like there's a learning curve to go through. I mean, it seems to me like a no-brainer, right?
Exactly. That's probably why we won't get him, because it's just such. It's perfect. I mean, we're saying we could do it a lot worse, but I mean, he's English. He knows the club. He loves the club. He loves Salah. Everything about him. I mean, I was one of the sad ones. The ones that are sad to let him go. It's him and Kelleher, the 2 players, and Kwanzaa. I didn't want any one of them to go. But Elliott, like, we need him, and we're showing that we need him. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it just doesn't make sense not to get him. He's not getting the minutes of Villa. If we want him off our books, bring him back, show the world what he can do, and then sell him in the summer. That's what you really want to do.
That's a great point by Sergio, and I want to bring that up. You've got to protect your investment.
Yeah.
He comes back for 6 months for Liverpool, scores 3 or 4 goals, looks tardy. Someone's going to buy 35 million. But how much would someone spend on him right now? They're not going to spend the 35 that you want, 40 million. They're not going to spend it.
20 maybe.
Mate, you could build them back up, though, in certain games, in the FA Cup games, in the dead games, in the dead rubbers. You've got Karabag at home. Liverpool could be 3-0 up at half time. Harvey Elliott can get 45. You build him up, he scores a few goals, looks tardy. You'll get clubs coming in for him. But you've got to also protect your investment in that way. What good does it help him just going to Villa and not kicking a footy now? Because he will not kick a footy towards the end of the season. What does that help anyone? Get him. Liverpool need him.
Brian, is there a moral issue with this in this situation from the club's perspective? Is that they let him go on? They didn't sell him outright to Villa. They let him go on loan, and to Cozzy's point, letting him rot at Aston Villa where he can't play a game because they don't want to trigger that 35 million clause. I mean, I would feel there's a moral responsibility in him bringing him back and at least giving him the chance to play than letting him sit down and just train every week. And never play.
I mean, there's ample space for him to play And I mean, that's the point. I mean, even if you talk about forwards right there,
he can go centre back with Endo.
Well, shit, he can. I mean, Verse isn't going to play a rematch right there, so that's a number 10 spot right there. You could probably put Harvey in. I mean, you also could have got like there if you play a diamond right there, like we were talking about. Okay, that's another spot where you can put him at. Right, there's so many different places you could plug him in at. And I think it's, again, as what Kazi said, you have to protect your investment. If we're going to use him as a make weight for somebody late in the summertime, right now you're not getting crap for Harvey at the moment right now because he's barely kicked the ball. So by having him here for the last half of the season right there, let him get his minutes and stuff like that, and then go in for somebody. Please go in for a fucking number 6. I mean, that's all I want. That's all I want. Can we resurrect Fabinho and bring him back? So those are things right there you can do with Harvey. So Harvey is a player right there that we could probably build him back up to a 35-40 mil player. But in 6 months of coming there and putting him on the pitch.
There's also a part which people want to chat about and we can't. We didn't really play last season. Yeah, but we had so many options last season to play up front. We had 6 forwards. Kaiser was 6th, and Elliott was 7th. So we had 2. Like Liverpool now have like 4. And by the way, we changed formation to play 2 up front.
We have 2.
Like Liverpool have no options. I can't believe he hasn't been called back already to go. Salah's going to AFCON. Anyway, even if Salah was playing or not, Salah's still going to AFCON, even if he played the last few games. Surely you could just go, hey, you're coming in, you're the body, you're going to play some dead minutes if Liverpool 3-0 up. You'll get your time, you'll get your minutes on the pitch. I'm sorry, I just think for me, he should be back now. Well, at least after Brighton, at the very earliest.
Is there maybe an administrative thing that would have...
No. But I'll tell you right now, Aston Villa will cancel it. Aston Villa will cancel it. I think if Liverpool call them to and go, can we take him back? They're going to go, do us a favour, yes. We can't even
How much taxi fare do you want?
We can't even be asked literally printing his shirt out every fucking training session.
He'll be back in like an hour and 2 hours to the Midlands.
Yeah, that's
it. Just to this point here, he can't play for another club this season, Bob.
I know, that's the thing, Bob. He can't play. He only plans to play. He played against Newcastle away. He came off the bench in the 96th minute. He came off the bench.
And he'll come back wanting to prove a point. He'll come back with unfinished business and just showing the club that I want to play for this club and this is what you're missing.
You're coming back 2 minutes. You know you've got minutes. You're coming back and you go, Mo Salah's fucking all the old 16 goals. It's not like that. Liverpool are playing 2 up front. There's literally positions that are there for you. You can come on and do 10 minutes on the left-hand side for Gakpo. Like, literally, if I said to you right now, would you have to do Elliott on the left, which isn't his space and his ideal, or Rio? You'd go, just do Elliott. Do you know what I mean? Just do Elliott. You would. So, I'm just, Liverpool would be absolutely berserk to let this continue. Just bring him back and just call it quits now. It's over.
I'm pretty sure that rule applies to all you.
Everybody.
You'd have to speak to your UEFA for a special dispensation.
Special dispensation,
But Liverpool shouldn't do that.
No.
Liverpool should not. He's our player. And by the way, he's like 23. We're acting like he's a 35-year-old. He's a fucking kid. He still might come on and score loads of goals and be brilliant. And then you go, "Oh, what a piece of business by Liverpool."
Yeah. They should have Bobby Chariot on his nerve pills there, waiting in a car to bring him back to Liverpool. So with that said, let's move on to the game this weekend. A game that could feature Harvey Elliott if we didn't mess that thing up. Against Brighton. They're not the Brighton of a couple of years ago. They're not that powerhouse kind of mantle has been taken up by Sunderland this season of all clubs. The team that shouldn't be up near the top, but nonetheless is. What are our thoughts for this? Slot announced that he would consider playing the diamond against Leeds and that he would play the diamond against Inter Milan. I thought there was a little bit more control. Number one, because it forced Gravenberch to be a defensive mid. There's no doubt about his position in that formation. He had to be the bottom of the diamond. But as I said, my fear is that he does a Brendan Rodgers and he sees something that's working and goes, but what if I did this instead? And then we go back to something that isn't going to work.
Hang on, no, fella. I want to butt in on this one. I couldn't blame him because we don't have the bodies. Do you want to trust Curtis Jones's body?
Right, but if we go back to what you said earlier, at this point right now, it's just about getting results. And
I agree with that part. Yeah. I also agree with that, but we need to see what happens in the pressure. If Gakpo's fit and other lads are fit, I can go, okay, you can swallow this. look at that bench, mate. He can't,
Oh yeah.
Can't go into a Premier League game, can he, and go, I've got to do the same thing again with no lads coming back fit. I think that's a massive mistake by the manager. I really do. I always think it's good to have a sub. He had one sub, which was Wirtz against Inter Milan. I always think, and you know this, it's always good to look at your bench and go, fucking hell, I've got 2 or 3.
Yeah.
He had one. And Inter Milan away. That can't happen against Brighton. Liverpool's in the shit in the league. In the shit. Liverpool have a chance to go above Chelsea this weekend if you play everything right and be in the top 4. So if he did, Sergi, as much as I don't agree with a lot of the manager does, and I haven't done for 12 months, I wouldn't lambast him. That's all. I wouldn't lambast him to go, hey lads, I could really do with an option on 60, you know. That's all.
What do you think, Susie and Brian, about this game? It's already a chore for you, Susie. It's only Thursday.
It is, because I it's exactly what I said yesterday. You know, we were going to beat Inter Milan and they were going to get battered by Brighton, and it's just indicative of the season that we're going through this season. It's I do agree with Kazi to the point where, because of the manpower that we have or lack of it, he might need to change a little bit. But then he's also, it would be like, if we lose, it's like, well, this guy's an idiot. You know, we had a winning formula against Inter. Like he's in a no-win situation. For me, I'd rather go full strength and try and get the result and worry about the next game afterwards, because we just need the points on the board. And
especially at home, really shouldn't be.
At home, and there's so much noise in this game. It's just Liverpool back, but so much noise, which didn't need to be there, but it is. And it's going to be noise in the presser tomorrow. It's just we just need to put this game to bed. Just get the points. Doesn't matter how we do it. Just get the points. And whoever's injured, we just have to deal with the repercussions, as long as it's not Alisson, because I can't see it.
I'll be pissed if he changes and Chiesa are fit. If Chiesa and Gakpo aren't fit, I wouldn't mind if he changed. That's all I'm saying. I think that's important to state. If he changes and I look at his bench and I go, fucking hell, let's go 5 lads back.
Well, I think Gakpo's out for a few more weeks, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. But also, I think Frimpong might be back. I think. But I don't know. We'll find out. Because that gives him another option. Because Bradley's suspended. People forgot that, by the way. That's why my head fell off again. He started Joe Gomez a bit into Milan. So I'm like, hey, he has to do Brighton. Do you really want to rush Frimpong? This is another part of the conversation, gents. Does he do Frimpong right wing for Szoboszlai for 15 minutes towards the end? This is a part I need to know at the press conference, what he says about the lads before I make me kind of call him what he's going to do with him.
No, I mean, it's an interesting one, Brian, isn't it? There's so many options and so few options at the exact same time.
I think the problem with Frimpong
is possibilities.
I think really Frimpong is only still doing one-on-one training, so I think that's the only problem right there. I don't think he's been integrated with the team yet, so I think that might be still maybe a little bit too soon for him on there. But it still is bringing back into the whole quandary of Bradley Coulter doing the shit Bradley does sometimes and all that right there. But so now we're basically forcing our hand. And like you said, playing Gomez against Inter Milan, stabilize like the defense and stuff like that. But also, how is this going to play out for a match just 3-4 days later, basically? So it may force you and maybe have to put Szoboszlai back in that spot again, right there. And then then we're just putting circle pegs and square, and the drill and all that. But I mean, you have to go full strength in this match. I mean, you have to. I mean, I think if you rotate rotate drastically, I think he's more. It's going to put you back in a pressure cooker again. And I think that you have to go in there and try to figure out some type of like medium that you can go there and play in. I mean, I think that Curtis Jones, honestly, if he's available, Curtis Jones would be the first person on that sheet for me. First person. I mean, then we'll go back over to every other players and all that. But I think that what I saw from the work rate that he's had the past couple of matches right there, I think that he is. I mean, he's kid's worked his socks off every match he's been in. I mean, so that'd be a thing. But I mean, it's just the question marks right there going to be on the left-hand side right there. Well, who do you put out on that left-hand side? Do you play with Burt's coming there playing over there? I mean, how do you – I mean, well, I'd rather have Burt's as a natural 10, but then you're still lacking a player right there. I mean, if you're still going to have two up front, who do you put down on that left-hand side? So it's still some question marks right there of how if he plays a diamond, about who he can correctly put in that spot. McAllister in that spot, I mean, I don't know, but even with McAllister's form, it's almost like questioning where he should be. And it goes back to our previous thing right there, while you have Mo looking out there and seeing players who are having stinkers on the pitch, and you're just like, the fuck, man?
This is the part, I think, which but I think touched on there a little bit. I feel so. I'm not saying not full strength, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes back to one forward. That's all I'm saying.
He's going to go to one forward.
You know what I mean? I don't expect him. If Chiesa and Gakpo are injured, I would be amazed if he walks into Ekitike. I'll be absolutely flabbergasted that he did it. He's into Milan because you got bounced by PSV. And he had to get a result. Let's be frank. If Liverpool beat PSV alone, just do the right thing and just whack them, then I don't think he would have done Ekitike and Isak now. The one thing that might save his ass in terms of fitness, Liverpool are playing once a week. So you can say to Curtis Jones, there's no cheeky Wednesday for you away at fucking Slavia Prague. No, lads, you're here. You're training for a week. Do you know what I mean? But any chance, by the way, Liverpool play the late kickoff next Saturday. Spurs away. It's the late one. So there's also more time to get fit. Do you know what I mean? So there's also a part where you can use these. I think these next 3 games, gents, the next 3 weeks, are really building up now. And go, it's once a week. I've had enough of managers give me bullshit excuses of, I need time on the training field. And Slot, you've got 3 weeks on the training field. You've got, by the way, and 2 of your games at our home against Brighton and fucking Wolves.
Yeah.
And by the way, Spurs are a bag of rags at home. Spurs can't win at home to save their lives. So this is it now. You've got your time. There's no little cheeky midweeks that you've got to fucking figure out, and there's no tough ones to win to Milan. Time on a training field. If you're going to stick with your diamond, I want to see a better performance, especially in the first half than I did against Inter Milan. I thought Liverpool stayed in the game, which is great, but we offered nothing going forward. I thought we were better second half, a lot better going forward. Liverpool win the game, that's fine. Let's see what you've got now. You've got your 3 weeks. Let's see.
I know I didn't realise Chiesa was in the possibilities for injuries for this game. Yeah,
it's got the shits.
He's got the shit.
You had the same Taco Bell that Brian had.
Look at my man's look, man. He couldn't even fly back to Italy for the night to see his boys, could he, in Milan? He couldn't even go, hey, boys, just come. I've got a few tickets for you. I'll be there. And he's got the shit. I don't know if he has.
I mean, if that's, I thought it was an injury. If that's the case, he's probably okay.
I don't know if he has. I think it says he didn't. I'm not sure.
No, that's what he said. That's
he didn't say he has the shits. That wasn't like.
He said he had stomach issues or something to that ilk.
Yeah, but it wasn't the shits. It could have been.
Stomach issues. He's got the shits. A stomach issue. I mean,
if there's one thing about Chiesa, he always goes big or goes home.
Indeed. Chiesa, man. He couldn't even go home. That's the thing. He couldn't even fly back to Italy for a night. But so if he's back, if Chiesa's back, I would like to see the diamond stay. That's my point. But
I mean, it's a fair point as well, because you want to have at least in the attack, you want to have those options.
You need at least one. Don't you? He's only had Verts, and I think you'd like a striker on the bench, wouldn't you? You'd like one where you can turn to. That's all.
Is there any? Now, let me ask this actually for all three of you. I don't know his status right now, so I hope I'm not jumping the gun here. But is there? Is this a situation where Slot really has to take another look at Rio again and go, you can give us 15-20 minutes of a game? Well, why do you say that?
Because he's a 17-year-old kid and he's been back on it. It's not his fault. Unless you're Lamine Yamal, Wayne Rooney, Messi, Michael Owen, you're 17 years of age and you shouldn't be expected to play Liverpool Football Club football unless you are a freak of nature. I think we say it all the time. When Liverpool are fit and fighting, there's only about fucking 20 lads in the world who improve Liverpool. And especially in the forward line, there is. And I include Gakpo when he's fit and fighting, by the way. And I think... I know what you're saying, Mac, and I get it. Liverpool are desperate for pace up front. Like, literally desperate for... I asked this question to Tim last week. I'll probably ask you the same question now. Who's Liverpool's fastest player? Who's Liverpool's quickest player?
It's probably Rio.
Kirkes.
Frimpong.
Kirkes or possibly Szoboszlai.
Frimpong, I think. Right, yeah.
Mark, what do you think?
I would have said Rio. Like, I think
maybe.
that's a good
My argument is though, I've just asked 3 lads there who are Liverpool fans, and you give me 3 different answers.
Nah.
Where I can go and ask you, well, who's the quickest player at Arsenal? You go Saka, or like Liverpool's at least top 2 only, Saka or Martinelli, or you know what I mean? Like you've got Liverpool don't have anyone, so I understand the call for Rio in that argument. So Liverpool just need outright pace. I haven't seen enough from Frimpong to know if he's quick or not. I just haven't seen enough. I haven't really seen.
I think even Salah's a minute. Frimpong is faster than him. So,
wasn't there a situation where he outran Salah in one of the preseason friendlies for Frimpong? Like he literally was like yards behind.
The kid's fast. He's fast.
Oh yeah, I'm not arguing that. But there's a difference between. We all know this. You got to be a freak to break in any Premier League club of 17. You have to be a freak of nature.
Oh yeah.
How good you are. And Rio isn't that. And I hate this argument, by the way. Liverpool didn't sign a left winger because stunts his growth. Liverpool can go and sign a left winger for 3 years, and he's only 20 years of age. You're not stunting anyone's growth here. Liverpool needs to go and sign the Semenyo conversation that's been had. Liverpool needs to just go and sign him on January the 1st and get it over and done with. Because Liverpool, it might be our biggest weakness in attack. The slowest team in the world. I've never seen a slower set of forwards. Ekatike needs like a quick, but they're not going to get the space for you to actually burst into space. I'm talking petrifying pace. Do you know what I mean? When we had the Mane, Diaz, when it was first Diaz, lightning pace. We don't have it.
I mean, that may well be true. We also don't get a chance to see it because we spend too many times passing the ball around between the centre halves. Although it's been a little bit better these days. So, with the exception of Cozzy, because he wants to see the press conference, and I don't blame him, is there any prospective score lines predictions coming up for Saturday, Brian? Says he.
It's really hard to say right there. I mean, I think that we should have soundly beat Leeds last week. I mean, I think that was until we imploded. If we don't implode, I think this is a match that we should be able to navigate because they were dreadful against West Ham. I mean, I mean, that was probably one of the worst matches I think I've seen in a long time right there where I'm watching the bits I saw right there. So, I mean, and we should beat West Ham soundly more than what we did beat them right there. So, I mean, as a squad, but if you look on paper right there, we should soundly go there and beat Brighton. At Anfield too? Yeah.
I'm in the camp of I think Liverpool win. I just think the Salah thing could galvanise the lads.
Yeah.
I just think it's like a point to prove. It's the first game back at Anfield. We've been shite at Anfield the last few games. Lost to Forest, PSV, United, probably some of the bums. And I just think this could galvanise the team. And I think sometimes these type of moments they have those moments where the lads go, fuck you, we'll prove you wrong. Let's get it right. There's not going to be 20 odd lads in the dressing room who all agree with Mo Salah. You know what I mean? They're all coming out, and Curtis has spoken players like that, like with the kind of against what he's kind of said in terms of how he's done it. They might sit there and go, fuck you, we'll show you an AFCON then, and we don't need you. And it's not your position to start, and we'll just go out and win games. And I think that can galvanise the team. And I actually think the crowd, I know it's a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
People probably can't wait for it. Probably really can't wait for it. And kind of cheer the manager's name for 90 minutes. And yeah, I think Liverpool will win.
Susie, what's your take on it?
Yeah, similar to Kazi. I think if I was Brighton manager, this is the worst game I'd. It's probably the hardest Liverpool game that they're going to face because of everything that's happened. I think it'll be 90 minutes of singing Slot's name, singing Salah's name. I think the fans are going to try and force some kind of reconciliation. I know it doesn't work like that, but I think the fans will be up for it in that sense. But the players can do what we did against Inter Milan and just keep our freaking noses to the ground and just shut off the outside noise. And we're in this situation with Salah and Slot because the rest of the team haven't performed as well. Yeah. So it's all about all of them taking accountability and ownership. I see a 2-0 win and hopefully some kind of reconciliation between Slot and Salah before he goes up to AFCON.
I know we're going to wrap up here, but I think it's important for the people who say Liverpool should go back to basics. West Ham leads for 65 minutes, 70 minutes, and Inter Milan is what a back to basics football team do. That's exactly what back to basics is. Back to basics is Liverpool winning 4-0. That's not back to basics. It's building from the ground up. No silly mistakes, no big chances given away. Yep. Everyone fucking running for the ball. That's what back to basics is. So I would argue, and again, you know my thoughts on the manager. he is getting it right in that sense. He is going back to basics and he's keeping Liverpool in the game. I have had enough of Liverpool being out of football matches on the 70th minute. It's fucking riling me. Like, since West Ham, Liverpool have not been out of games on 70. And that's important. And I think that's what the manager now has something to build off. I thought Liverpool were appalling against Sunderland, but they were in the game at 1-0. They were in the game and Liverpool score, of course, and get a point. Which Liverpool would have lost 3 weeks before, by the way. Liverpool would have lost 3-4 weeks before. So it's a small building block, but it is a building block.
I don't have a score prediction, but I think if Slot's mad enough to stick with the diamond, I think Wirtz gets a goal.
I don't think he starts.
Do you not think he starts?
I don't think Wirtz starts.
No, I think that's a sub. I think he'll want that sub, Mac. Do you know what I mean? I think that's his first on the pitch. It worked. It did work well against the Inter, and I thought Wirtz played really well for 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And I also think as well, if Liverpool are in the game, like say Liverpool are 1-0 up or 2-1 up on 70 and Wirtz comes on, I think the crowd will be like, come on, there's a goal. Let's go. Let's get you the goal. Do you know what I mean? I just think, what midfield are you dropping? The argument's McAllister, of course. That's probably the only one, because Jones and Szoboszlai and Gavrovich are probably untouchable at the moment in the diamond, at least. And especially Curtis Jones has been Liverpool's best player for miles.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
It's not even close. He's an absolute joke of a football player when he's fit.
Hey, but even
when he's fit.
Hey, he can do. I'd be ballsy right there. I'd put Mo up front right there with Isak. And just go there and have Ikiteke on the bench. Just be ballsy right off the straight. Okay, hey, you want to start? I'm putting you up front right there, and in a preferred position right there, in a diamond right there. So you play center forward. You play as a forward with Egypt. I'm putting you up there. Do something.
I mean, apart from the fact that I've said that for a long, long time, that would be a ballsy move, wouldn't it, to put Salah up there?
Yeah. not going to start him, right?
He's not going to start. It would be a ballsy move.
He wouldn't even. I don't even think he'll put him on the bench if he apologises today. Yeah. I just think he'll just go, I just want you out my face. Sometimes you have like that, don't you? And like a marriage, I just don't even want to look at you for a bit. Get out and put my face. Why are you still here on the training pitch? I'm looking at you again. Go away. And I think that's what it is right now.
Yeah, my wife has that as well. I just don't want to see it. But that's pretty much every day of. Right. So with that said, I do believe there is no morning coffee tomorrow. So if you're looking at YouTube, Facebook, or any of the other things, you'll be staring at a blank screen. But if you want to know when these things are or aren't happening, then you do this. You like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, and Blue Sky, and the public broadcasting system, where we come on after Sesame Street for those who are interested. Suzie, Brian, and Cozzy, thank you for joining us as always. I'll let you three go and get your Lemsips into you. Get your electrolytes and your weak lemony drink. Yeah. Or warm 7-Up if you're doing it right. Warm 7-Up if you're doing it right. That's the old school way. We will be back next week for our pre-Christmas show. And then we will see where we are with all of our predictions.
Room 4-4-2 for Christmas. And what are we going to
do for Christmas? And Mike Bassett as manager. That's what
room 4-4-2, the Christmas edition. What are you putting in room 4-4-2 for Christmas?
Oh, yes. That's what we'll do. Remind me of that. We'll do that next week. It's room 433, by the way. But we'll.
Oh yeah.
We'll put Cozzy into it for forgetting.
No. I'm calling it the diamond.
Yeah. But for everybody else, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully, we'll have a nice result on Saturday to cheer about. Here's some funky music. Peace out. Let's all go to beddy, boys.